Well, a very good evening and welcome to Newswatch this Tuesday, the 23rd of August 2022. Thank you so much for joining us for the latest news. Be sure to interact with us on our social media platforms, Hope TV on Facebook, at Hope TV_KE on Twitter and YouTube. My name is Tonny Omondi and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Let's begin our broadcast tonight. Now, as the Supreme Court prepares to begin demystifying the election petitions lodged before it, 3 petitioners have moved to the High Court seeking to stop the Supreme Court from declaring Raila Odinga as president should the Supreme Court order a vote recount. The 3, Ashford Koome-Mbogo, Michael Ochieng Asola and Eric Githinji, want the High Court to determine the legality of the presidential election petition filed by Raila Odinga and Martha Karua before the hearings begin. In their petition, the trio said that Raila and his running mate are seeking the Apex Court to declare them President-elect and Deputy President-elect, respectively, in the event a retallying of the ballot is sanctioned. The 3 want Section 84 of the Election Act to be declared unconstitutional. They also want the High Court to make an interpretation of the said section before the Supreme Court proceeds to hear and give a determination of the presidential election petition. The 3 have sued Attorney General and included IBC as the first interested party and DP William Ruto as the second interested party. Meanwhile, Kenya's election observer group ELOG now says the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya party, whose presidential candidate Raila Odinga has challenged the results of the presidential election, deployed more party agents across the country than the Kenya Kwanza party during the general election. In a report by the Observer Group, both Azimio and Kenya Kwanza deployed agents to all polling stations and they signed the declaration of results for the presidential election contained on Form 34A. According to parallel vote tabulation (PVT) projections, Azimio party agents were present in 92.3% of polling stations against UDA's 92.0%. While representation for other parties, Roots and Agano, was above average at 68.3%. The report comes at a time when Jubilee Party and other parties affiliated to Azimio la Umoja claim their party agents were barred from accessing polling stations in Mount Kenya and Western regions. ELOG last week released projections of their final tally confirming IBC's official presidential results that declared William Ruto the winner. Moving on, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha has ordered day schools in the 8 electoral areas where by-election will happen next week to remain closed for a day. Speaking while commissioning new CBC classrooms in Dagoretti, Nairobi County, CS Magoha said the decision has been taken to pave way for the IBC to use the facilities as polling centers. The Education CS, however, asked the IBC to relocate the tallying centers to tertiary institutions in the regions so that students taking their national examinations this year don't have their studies disrupted. As Kennedy Kimani reports, the gubernatorial election will be held in Mombasa and Kakamega counties, while 4 constituencies of Pokot South, Kitui Rural, Rongai and Kachaliba will also hold election.
With 8 electoral areas set to have their by-elections on Monday next week, Education CES Professor George Magoha has ordered for the closure of the day schools in those areas on that day, so as to pave way for the IBC to use the facilities as polling centers.
We have agreed, having consulted Mr. Chebukati and Mr. Hussein Marjan, that as far as the polling centers are concerned, we are happy to allow them to use our facilities in both primary and secondary schools.
CS Magoha has however asked the IBC to relocate the tallying centers to tertiary institutions in the regions so that students taking their national examination this year don't have their studies disrupted, at the same time noting that boarding schools will not be closed.
We have agreed mutually that they should be taken to tertiary institutions, and the press release will be coming shortly to say so. In terms of our children, because we don't want them to miss any more time, we have also agreed as a government that the boarding schools shall not be closed, they will not be interfered with. Those that are polling centers, the children will remain in their boarding houses in the fields and the libraries. As far as day schools are concerned, we think one day is not bad enough. The children can stay at home on Monday the 29th and report back to school on Tuesday the 30th.
The gubernatorial elections will be held in Mombasa and Kakamega counties, while 4 constituencies of Pokot South, Kitui Rural, Rongai and Kacheliba will also hold elections. Other candidates will contest for the 2 electoral wards in Nyaki West in Meru County and Kwanjenga in Nairobi County. Kennedy Kimani, Hope TV Newswatch, Nairobi.
Now, arrangements for assumption of office for county governors-elect and the deputies are in top gear as the committee overseeing the exercise put in place the assumption process in line with the Assumption of Office of Governor Act 2019. A total of 45 governor-elects are expected to be sworn in on Thursday this week in an event to be presided over by the judiciary representatives, except for 2 who are to be elected on August 29th after the IEBC postponed the gubernatorial election in Kakamega and Mombasa counties. The IEBC already gazetted the names of 45 governors-elect ahead of the swearing-in. Dickens Luvanda has this report.
The judiciary is preparing to swear in the 45 elected governors on Thursday, August 25th, in line with the provisions of the Assumption of Office of the Governor Act 2019. The Act establishes an Assumption of the Office of the Governor Committee that comprises of 13 members in each of the 47 counties, including the respective county commissioner, a representative from the National Police Service, a National Intelligence Service representative, a High Court judge, and the county secretary. Provides for the formation of a special transition committee to spearhead the process of handing over power in the counties. The Act requires that governors-elect be sworn in on the first Thursday after the 10th day following the declaration of the final results by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC). The IEBC chairman Wafula Chebukati already gazetted the governors-elect and the deputies ahead of their swearing-in ceremonies on Thursday, except for Kakamega and Mombasa counties. The commission postponed gubernatorial elections for Mombasa and Mombasa counties until August 29th.
Bongo Kangata atakuwa anaapishwa kuwa gavana wa kaunti ya Murang'a. Kwa hivyo hiyo kamati imekuwa ikitayarisha mambo kama hiyo, kutayarisha miradi ambao tumekuwa tukifanya, ndio akifika ajue kaunti iko wapi, kuangalia rasilimali za kaunti. Pia tutakuwa tunampatia mambo kama hayo na mengine mengi.
According to the Assumption of the Office of the Governor Act 2019, the swearing in of the governor-select is to occur in a public ceremony before a High Court judge, not earlier than 10 a.m. and not later than 2 p.m.
Kuna utaratibu ambao unafuatwa katika kukabidhi mamlaka kutoka kwa governor ambaye anaondoka na yule ambaye amechaguliwa. Kwa hivyo hii kamati ndio imekuwa ikifanya maandalizi ya hiyo sherehe pamoja na kuapishwa kwa gavana mpya na naibu wake. Hiyo sherehe itafanyika siku ya Alhamisi tarehe 25 mwezi wa 8, ambayo ni siku 2 tu kutoka leo. Kwa hivyo tumeita nyinyi ili tuweze kutangaza, kuambia wananchi ya kwamba wanakaribishwa kuhudhuria hiyo sherehe ambayo itafanyika katika Sports Club pale, Eldoret Sports Club, kuanzia saa 2 asubuhi. Tunaomba wakaaji wa Uasin Gishu, wananchi wote kutoka kaunti yetu ya Uasin Gishu waweze kuhudhuria hiyo sherehe, kwa sababu sheria inasema ya kwamba sherehe ya kuapishwa kwa gavana inafaa kufanyika mbele ya kila mtu akiona, na hata saa ya kufanyika imewekwa kwa sheria. Inafaa kuwa hiyo ceremony ya swearing in inafanywa kutoka saa 4 hadi saa 8.
During the swearing-in ceremony, the governor-elect and his or her deputy will take and subscribe to the oath or affirmation of the office as prescribed in the first scheduled section of the Assumption of the Office of the Governor Act 2019. Upon taking the oath of office, the governor shall sign a certificate of the inauguration in the presence of the High Court judge who conducts the swearing-in ceremony. Dickens Luvanda, Hope TV Newswatch.
Right away from that, Mumias Sugar Company workers have held peaceful protests against Sarai Group, the Ugandan-based farm, to vacate the state mill following what they said is poor working conditions and mismanagement that led to the death of their colleague. The workers say the Sarai Group has failed to put safety strategies in the sugar factory before the sugarcane grinding operation started. Dole Murigi has this report.
The troubled Mumias Sugar Company continues to wallow in uncertainty after another receiver manager was appointed to replace the KCB-appointed receiver manager who was sent packing in April this year. Workers on Tuesday protested the dismissal of the new investor Sarai Group for what they call the neglect of the interest at work. The mystery surrounding the death of the 54-year-old Dixon Nganga last week has raised questions with the workers protesting poor management.
Tunaomba neema ikuje wa assess hiyo mahali. Tunaomba watu wenye wanahusika na health and safety, DOSH and company groups wakuje waangalie assessment hapo. Tunataka Kenya Bureau of Standards wakuje waangalie if that environment is a productive environment. So because of the situation here, tunaomba ya kwamba Sarai atoke, tupate investor, kampuni yamuke, wakulima wapate miwa, wapate pesa, wasomeshe watoto.
The workers have accused the Sarai Group of taking the operation in the farm without regarding the safety of the workers. They also claim they have not been given safety clothing.
Normally kwa sugar factory kama hiyo boiler ni kama time bomb. Hakuna vile unaweza anzisha boiler ambayo haijakuwa maintained na bila kuangalia safety ya wafanyakazi wetu. Factory ukienda kama process house ilikuwa na a lot of wear, tear and wear, na most of parts zilikuwa zimezeeka na zimewear kabisa. Huyo jamaa allege kwa ukora ya kwamba alifanya maintenance. Hakuna maintenance ilifanyika pale, na hii imekuja kudhihirika wakati wafanyikazi walienda pale kufanya kazi. Like one of them ni mtu anaitwa Dixon Nganga George ambaye amekufa kifo ambayo haina heshima yoyote, kifo mbaya.
The late Nganga was the breadwinner of his family, has left one wife and 7 children.
Yeye ndiye amekuwa kihustle akileta chakula. Sasa amekufa, watoto wataenda shule namna gani? Mke wake ataishi namna gani? Wale watu ambao walikuwa wamemtegemea wote wataishi namna gani?
The workers now want the court to revisit the Sarai Group court case. Plans to revive Mumias Sugar Company have been faced with challenges after the High Court ordered the Sarai Group to stop the operation at the company.
Nauliza Madam Martha Koome, Justice Martha Koome, kesi ya Mumias imeshinda koti za Kenya. Kitu ya tatu, Sarai hana permit ya kutoa sukari, hana license ya kutoa sukari. Sarai hana insurance ya kufanya kwa kampuni ya sukari.
Kenya Commercial Bank wakati ilileta huyu jamaa ilimuleta ili afufue kiwanda, lakini ya ajabu kwamba juzi uliona hata kwa mtandao huyu mwenye alimuleta receiver manager anamwandikia barua kwamba mimi bwana wewe Sarai nilikutuma kule katika kiwanda cha Mumias ufanye cleaning, yani apanguze. Akamkana kabisa ya kwamba mimi sikukutuma pale ufanye operations.
However, the Sarai Group is reported to have won the tender in December 23, 2021 and immediately started tilling the land, paving roads, carrying out repairs in preparation for the company's revival. Dolly Murigi, Hope TV.
Outgoing Makueni County Governor Professor Kivutha Kibwana has joined President-elect William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza political camp. Ruto announced on Tuesday that Professor Kibwana will be part of the Kenya Kwanza legal team in the ongoing presidential election petition filed by the Azimio coalition. President-elect William Ruto and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Chairman Afula Chebukati have until Friday to respond to the petition filed by Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga at the Supreme Court. According to the Supreme Court presidential petition rules, respondents have 4 days to file their responses to the petition. Grace Wangoi tells us more.
With only 4 days remaining for President-elect William Ruto to respond to the petition filed by the Azimio la Umoja presidential candidate Raila Odinga, his legal team has a huge task of going through the content of the petition and filing a response before the deadline on Friday. In light of this, the Kenya Kwanza team have welcomed outgoing Makueni Governor Kivutha Kibwana to be a part of their legal team in this presidential petition. Ruto, who welcomed Kivutha Kibwana at his current residence, expressed through a tweet, and I quote, We associate with the leadership that Professor Kivutha Kibwana has manifested in agreeing to work with us in furthering our country's development agenda. The Makueni governor will join the Kenya Kwanza legal team in the ongoing presidential election petition. End of quote. The move by Kibwana to join the Kenya Kwanza team comes as a surprise, as he was a key player in the Raila Odinga-led Azimio la Umoja coalition. On 18th August 2022, Kibwana wrote detailed issues he wanted the Azimio team to consider before making the decision to challenge Ruto's win. Among the issues Kibwana suggested to be looked into are for Azimio to ensure that it has sufficient legal and factual grounds to warrant the petition. Kibwana also raised questions on whether in the activities during the electioneering period, concerns were raised by Azimio observers or any other non-partisan stakeholder about election malpractice. Kibwana also asked whether any commissioners who were mandated to announce presidential election results challenged the veracity of the posted and announced results. He also questioned whether presidential agents challenged the results announced and whether they demanded a recount. Another issue he pointed was whether there were any good reasons for postponement of elections in counties and constituencies. And among other things, Kibwana also asked Azimio to consider whether the drift among the IBC commissioners only occurred when a specific presidential candidate was revealed as the winner. Kibwana joining Kenya Kwanza has elicited many reactions from the public, seeing that he was considered part of Azimio's advisory team owing to his background in law. In the just concluded August 9th election, Kibwana lost in the Makueni senatorial race after being trounced by Dan Manzo. Raila will be required to file and serve a rejoinder within 24 hours after being served with a response. Azimio went to court seeking that the Supreme Court declare that they won the election and in the alternative declare that the IBC, as presently constituted, is incapable of presiding over and rendering a proper, credible and verifiable presidential election. Kivutha Kibwana becomes the latest member of Azimio to join Kenya Kwanza. Raila Odinga, while making his speech at KICC on Monday, pointed an accusing finger at DP Ruto for what he termed was buying elected leaders of rival parties in a bid to kill democracy.
You have seen the speed with which they have moved to buy elected leaders just within 1 week. After being denied the numbers at lower levels elections, like members of the National Assembly, members of the county assemblies and governors, these corruption cartels are working and buying leaders who have been elected on other parties' tickets to kill our democracy and also make the work of containing corruption at lower levels equally less effective. All these efforts have important political costs for our country, and they should not be underestimated.
Grace Ongoi for Hope TV Newswatch.
By that report by Grace Ongoi takes us to a short break on Newswatch. You still have more coming your way. Just stay with us. Coming back shortly.
Too often, government leaders fail to adopt and implement policies that they know are necessary for sustained economic development.
Kuna mtu alisema
Political constraints can prevent leaders from following sound technical advice even when leaders have the best of intentions. Making politics work for development. Tomorrow at 7:30 p.m., join Edward Furi together with Simon Bevy as they tell us the interests and intrigues of Kenyan politicians and politics.
The chance of victory, you know.
Only on Hope TV. Look and live.
This week on Treasure Hunt. We feature the beautiful Lakewood Emerald School in Kitengela. Treasure Hunt.
Hope TV, tawale. Bele, tawale. Nyuma, tawale.
For this and more on Treasure Hunt, tune in to Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back to Newswatch. Now, two suspected coffee thieves were Monday night lynched by a mob at Kidhima Coffee Factory in Gelani, Machakos County, after a botched robbery attempt at the factory. The gang of thieves, numbering 13, had gained access to the factory after tying up two security guards at the gate, but a third guard escaped and ran away, screaming to alert residents who surrounded the factory and apprehended the two as the rest of the gang escaped. Tess Njenga has this story.
It was a night of terror for three guards at Kidhima Coffee Factory in Gelani, Machakos County, after 13 thieves attacked the factory and tied the guards, with one, Joseph Muli, narrowly managing to escape and call for help. The two guards who were captured fast lied to the gang that there was no one else keeping watch, giving room for the other guard to escape.
Wezi walitokea upande mmoja wetu huwa na nini alikwanga, halafu wakamshika, wakapika nduru, halafu wakamshika, wakamfunga. Na mimi nilikuwa pande ya juu, nikaona nitorokea pande ya juu, halafu ndio nijaribu kupika nduru watu wakuja ndio tuweze kuwaokoa. Halafu kukuja karibu na gate nikakuta wawili, kuenda mbele kidogo kama wananikimbiza, kutana mwingine mmoja akatokea hapo, tukakimbia karibu tufike kwa choo, ndio kukatokea wengine wawili. Hao wawili ndio walinizingira pamoja na wao wote wakakuwa watano, halafu kunishika wakanipiga na chuma walikuwa naye na rungu. Halafu sasa na huyo mwingine watatu alikuwa anatorokea pande wa mboma ingine iko karibu hapo, ndio wakamshikia hapo.
According to the other security guards, Nicholas Macau and Dennis Kialo, the gang, which was armed with pangas, sticks and other crude weapons, raided the factory at night, tied the guards with ropes and beat them up to submission as they proceeded to collect the bags of coffee.
Mimi nilikuwa wa pili kushikwa na hao wezi. Walinishika kwa njia, walifanya kunikimbiza, wakakuja wakanishika. Alafu wakanifunga.
Ile litendeka ndio wakufa hao. Sasa mmoja alichukuliwa huko chini. Bila alichukuliwa huko chini na raia akaletwa mpaka hapa kwa gate. Bila hata hapa kwa gate akakaa chini akaanza kueleza vile alikujanga hapa. Akasema tu niko wametumwa.
However, two of the thieves were caught, beaten to death, and their bodies left at the gate of the factory, where hundreds of curious residents thronged in the morning to view the bodies. The factory manager, Jonathan Musyoki, has asked for further investigations into the incident to capture the remaining thieves.
Tunauliza polisi kama inawezekana waendelee kutuchunguzia kwa sababu hao wezi walikuwa 15, wengine walikimbia wakapotea. Wauliza mtusaidie, ndio kwa sababu hao wakulima wanateseka sana na wako na nini na uchungu mwingi kwa sababu wanachoka sana kuleta hiyo kahawa hapa. Na vile tunachoka na sisi kutumikia hiyo kahawa mpaka hao wakulima wapate pesa. Kwa hivyo kwa polisi tunawauliza watusaidie tuwe na usalama hapa katika hii factory na katika hii kijiji.
Reporting for Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Tess Njenga.
In other news, now more than 600,000 Siaya County residents have been vaccinated against COVID-19. County Immunization Officer Joshua Ndiege said out of the 602,000 residents who have received the jab, 380,000 have received their first dose and are yet to complete the required 2 doses. 44% of the population, that is 262,000 people, have been fully vaccinated. Addressing the media in Siaya town while giving the update of the COVID-19 status in the county, the coordinator said that prior to the election and during the campaign period, outreaches and vaccination intensification campaigns were conducted, especially in Bondo sub-county, where the uptake of vaccines had been among the lowest.
And so far in Siaya County, currently, we are at 44% of people who are fully vaccinated with COVID vaccination. And this at the country level, we are number 5 county within all the 47 counties. During the campaign and during the election period where we thought many people would be interacting and the transmission would increase, we didn't really observe this increase. And basically, for the last 5 days, as we talk, we have not had any positive case. And the few that were there, that were even admitted in our isolation ward, currently the last person that was admitted was discharged on last Friday. And currently, as we speak, we don't have any positive case that has been reported recently, and nobody also admitted within our wards. So this is just a proof that the vaccination, the intensification of the vaccination has really worked well. And if we continue as Siaya, we are aiming at now pushing this to reach 70% coverage of fully vaccinated individuals. When we talk or we look at the number of people that are total vaccinated cumulatively, we are talking about 602,000 people that have been reached with vaccination. Out of that, around 380,000 people have gotten first dose, then 262,000 people have gotten fully vaccinated.
Technical and vocational education and training institutions TVETs principals have commenced training on recognition of prior learning policy RPL in preparation for the rollout of the policy. The policy focuses on certification based on skills and competency for the informal sector. The country has been preparing to put in place the necessary systems, structures and legal frameworks to implement recognition of prior learning RPL for the past few years. Speaking to the media, Kenya National Qualifications Authority Director Stanley Maindi said that the rollout phase has officially started, highlighting the need for capacity building of critical players. TVET's principals are therefore going through a one-day workshop on how to institutionalize the policy in their respective institutions.
This country has been preparing to put in place the necessary systems, structures and legal frameworks to implement recognition of prior learning. And for the entire past 2-3 years, that is what we have been doing. Now we are entering a new phase of really rollout. And to start the rollout, we have started by building capacity of the critical players in the implementation of recognition of prior learning. So this workshop is here to train the capacity of principals of our national polytechnics and technical training institutions on how to institutionalize and roll out recognition of prior learning in Kenya. So we have over 60 participants comprising of principals and RPL coordinators in the TVET institutions.
The TVET institutions will form the basis of the connection of many people who are out there in Juakali and other areas so that they can reach these TVET institutions to request for recognition of qualifications of the skills that they have. We have almost 260 operational TVET institutions in all our constituencies, and it will be easy for anyone to approach a public TVET institution or a private public TVET institution who would want his qualifications registered and recognized for a qualification that is well registered with Kenya National Qualifications Authority. We want to say, as public TVET institutions, we are ready and we are willing to implement this very important government policy so that our country can have a good pool, a good mass of young men and women who will help the development of this country.
Let's look at what is happening internationally. Tanzania has launched a nationwide population and housing census that will focus at identifying bona fide citizens, immigrants, refugees, foreign residents, and passing visitors in a rigorous exercise that will last for a week. President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who designated Tuesday as a holiday, was the first to be enumerated at the Chamwino State House in the capital, Dodoma. Let's get more from our very own Faith Selfa.
Tanzania will over the next 7 days conduct a population census, a vital exercise for national plans. Tuesday was declared a national holiday to allow citizens to take part in the exercise fully. The 2012 census results indicated there were 43.6 million people in the mainland and 1.3 million in Zanzibar. United Nations data estimates Tanzania's 2020 population to be almost 60 million. And a Sudanese state official has issued a warning over rising waters in Blue Nile River due to the ongoing floods. Sena State Minister of Infrastructure and Urban Development Al-Mutasim Al-Tahir said levels of the river in the city of Sinjar will rise, but stated that the situation was under control unless the levels went higher. The executive director of Sanja locality, Abdullah Mohammed Al-Bashir, warned citizens to take precautions and raise any alert. According to the government, at least 79 people have been killed this month due to heavy rains that have been pounding the country. And United Kingdom High Commissioner Jane Marriott has dismissed claims that she and her country interfered in Kenya's recently concluded general election. Marriott was reacting to allegations on social media that she pressured the Electoral Commission to declare William Ruto as president-elect following the disputed poll. In a series of tweets, Marriott said the UK does not support nor have a view on any candidates or parties in elections, terming the claims as misinformation, and that they met people from across the political spectrum to explain UK's programs and partnership with Kenya. Marriott said Kenya would remain a vital UK partner, adding that Britain was ready to support the leaders elected by the people. And Russia is calling for the United Nations Security Council to hold a meeting about the situation at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. In recent weeks, the area around the facility has come under heavy artillery fire, with Kiev and Moscow blaming each other for the attacks. Last week, Russia wrote to the Security Council warning of planned provocations by Ukraine at the plant. World leaders and nuclear experts have voiced their concerns over a potential nuclear disaster if something is not done to bring fighting in the area to a halt. For Hope TV's Newswatch, I am Faith Selfa.
Only God can turn a mess into a message.
I have a boy on a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I'm still preaching on the pulpit.
Amen.
Niliona mguu ya nyuma inakuja tu kunikanyaga, imenilenga tu kwa tumbo. Nikaitana tu Jesus.
I got tired of working with the x-ray papers, and one day I just woke up and decided to burn them.
A test into a testimony.
The whole community didn't want to hear that anybody is born again. Excommunicated straight.
Bila Yesu hakuna njia.
Join Sharon Naitore Wangenye on Testify.
Katika hiyo harakati hiyo spirit ikakemewa, mimi nimeona Yesu Kristo namna hii. Kwa msalaba. Opa. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Every Thursday at 8 p.m. for a moment to grow your faith some more.
Let's continue with business news. The Equity Group half-year results continue to reflect a sustained digital transformation, with 99% of all customer transactions now happening outside the branch network. Speaking while releasing the bank's first half performance report, Equity Group Managing Director James Mwangi said the COVID-19 pandemic acted as a tailwind to the group's efforts of digitizing their business. The group's recovery and resilience strategy saw the group's profit after tax grow by 36% to 24.4 billion shillings, up from 17.9 billion shillings for the comparative half-year results of the previous year. The profit growth was principally driven by a 29% growth in interest income to 55 billion shillings, up from 42.8 billion shillings as a result of growth of loans to customers by 29% to 650.6 billion shillings, up from 504.8 billion shillings. The group's culture of customer centricity and focus informed the management's COVID-19 environment strategy of focusing on customers' recovery and resilience. Targeted lending, reflected by the 29% growth of the loan book, is part of the strategy to sustain recovery, growth and allow the real economy to thrive and brighten the lights of the economy in generating growth opportunities.
Equity used COVID as a tailwind to transform itself. It used COVID protocols to change the culture of our customers and the engagement of our customers. The consumption pattern of our products by customers, the way they engage us, completely changed during COVID. We took advantage, and that is I want to pay tribute to the management of Equity Bank. They dared, in times of uncertainty, to transform the business. When everybody was scared, this leadership team distinguished itself, differentiated itself by seizing the opportunity and transforming the business when they didn't need to invest in persuading the customers. The customers were persuaded by the COVID protocols to adopt different consumption and engagement styles. So we fully exploited. There is a silver lining on every crowd. We use this to transform ourselves.
The Kenya Film Classification Board, KFCB, has resolved to redefine the role of film agents in the country with a view of confining the agents to providing international standard services to foreign film and television producers. This is after the board in recent times received numerous representations from local filmmakers recommending the abolition of the prerequisites for local filmmakers to register as film agents or be facilitated by film agents when obtaining film licenses to enable them comply with the filming requirements. KFCB Chief Executive Officer Christopher Wambua, in a press briefing, said the board has already published a public notice on the government website on redefining the role of film agents, saying current practice of obtaining licenses through film agents inhibits market entry for aspiring creatives.
It is important to note here that this requirement was inherited from the Department of Film Services, which was initially responsible for issuing filming licenses before this regulatory function was transferred to KFCB way back in 2018. Although film agents are recognized as important players in the film sector globally, their role in most jurisdictions is typically confined to facilitating foreign film and television producers. The obtaining situation in Kenya, therefore, is in contrast with the global best practice. It is small wonder that the board has in recent times received numerous representations from the local filmmakers recommending the abolition of the requirement for them to register as filmmakers or to be facilitated by film agents when obtaining filming licenses. In light of the above, it is evident that the current practice of obtaining filming licenses through film agents, among other factors, inhibits market entry for aspiring creatives and may therefore ultimately stifle the growth of the local creative economy. To create an enabling environment for our youth to harness the opportunities in the local creative economy, the KFCB has resolved to redefine the role of film agents in Kenya with a view to confining it to provision of international standard services to foreign film and television producers. In this regard, the board has today, 23rd August 2022, published a public notice in MyGov publication on redefining the role of the film agent.
Let's get to some sports news now. Kenya Rugby Sevens head coach Damian McGrath has made 2 changes as the team heads to Los Angeles for the World Series in this weekend. Jeff Olwach and Samuel Oliech returned to the Shujaa squad, replacing Levi Amunga and Haman Huma, who are part of the squad's last outing which is the Commonwealth Games Rugby Sevens competition in Birmingham 3 weeks ago. Shujaa are in Pool D and will begin their campaign in North America against Samoa on Saturday at 8:26 p.m. East African time. This will be followed by a fixture against England at 11:10 p.m. the same day before rounding off pool play against Scotland at 2:21 a.m. on Sunday. And Manchester United produced an outstanding display to defeat Liverpool and give manager Erik ten Hag his first Premier League victory at Old Trafford. Ten Hag took the bold decision to drop captain Harry Maguire and Cristiano Ronaldo and was rewarded with a performance that lifted the mood of crisis around Manchester United and left Liverpool still searching for a first win of the season. Jadon Sancho showed superb control and composure to deservedly put United in front after 16 minutes before Marcus Rashford raced clear to beat Alisson from substitute Anthony Martial's pass 8 minutes after the interval. Mo Salah set up a tense finish when he scrambled in a header with 9 minutes left, but United survived to give Ten Hag just the sort of triumph he needed to make his mark at Old Trafford. Man United are now at position 14 on the Premier League table, with Liverpool yet to get its first win of the season at position 16. All right, that brings us to the end of this broadcast for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Till next time, God bless. I'm Tonny Omondi, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Murithi. Have a good night.